Johnson Real Estate. You can hear it every Thursday morning, 7:23. Saturday morning again here at 7:50 on KNSI. Remember, start that home search at VoigtJohnson.com. Heidi Voigt, you're going to talk about one of my very favorite things, and that is helping veterans today.
Absolutely. And not just veterans. We wanted to talk a little bit today about a program called Homes for Heroes.
All right.
And this program actually is not our own program. It's a nationwide program.
Okay.
And it was started in response to 9/11. And
Sure.
initially, the recipients of this program were people who were buying and selling real estate, who were EMTs, firefighters, and law enforcement officers. There's a brokerage out of Minnesota, actually, and
Yep.
they started this referral type of program for people that are of those categories, and the intention was to rebate them back money to help them in their real estate transactions. And it's interesting because when you hear rebate, I always hear, oh, I'm gonna have to send in some receipts and it's gonna be more work, and it is not that type of rebate program. It's a very simple process in the sense that you're a firefighter, you're a veteran, you're a teacher. Here is a discount basically,
Right.
and from the perspective of listing a home, it comes in the form of a discount, and from the perspective of buying a home, it actually comes in an actual check that we send
Nice.
after closing. And so we've been doing this since 2014.
Okay, now you had mentioned at the onset that it started specifically for EMTs and firefighters and law enforcement officers, but now teachers, nurses, veterans are added, right?
Correct, and in the history of the program, it's finding out how that evolved. Almost immediately after they started the program, they added veterans and then nurses. But the veterans, which I think is just incredible, were the people who really said teachers should be part of this program. So it was actually a consumer response saying, if we're looking at heroes within our community, we want teachers to be part of that as well.
Very cool. Now, what about active duty, retired? What do we need to be?
Everybody. In last week, I'll give an example. I met with a gal, and she will probably be listing her home this spring. And her husband has recently passed. He was a two-tour veteran of Vietnam, and we will also honor that rebate for her because he served and it was their house together. So
It's the right thing to do, isn't it?
Yep, it is. So retired firefighters, retired teachers, any of those people who are the hero category, they all qualify.
Well, if you've been doing this for a while, you must have people that have reached out to you back to say, golly, without this program, I wouldn't have been able to do this or that or the other thing. What are they using these rebates for?
Well, it's interesting. It's kind of evolved. When we were looking at when we originally started the program, we would have people use it towards closing costs.
Sure.
Because there were people coming in with maybe not enough cash for transactions. When I think about one of my clients that has given me feedback on what they did with a rebate during COVID, I had a client that bought a right around a $300,000 home, and so their rebate that they received about 4 days after closing was $2,100. So they received this.
That's a nice chunk of change.
Yeah, and the day that they got their check, one of the sellers got laid off because of COVID.
Oh my!
And she just said it was our first house payment.
Mm-hmm.
So those are simple, like that's a kind of a wow moment. But I think from the bigger perspective, when people are receiving funds and they're receiving them locally, they spend that locally. And I think on average, when somebody purchases a home, the stats that I've seen before is that within the first 4 months that you own a home, you spend about $3,000 or $4,000 that you normally wouldn't have.
Right.
Well, maybe now people are spending $5,000 locally that they normally wouldn't have, and that benefits the Home Depots and the painters and the people who are doing landscaping and those different types of trades within our industry that are housing related. It all comes to fruition locally.
Well, it's again, when you do good things happen.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
So the return on that investment is pretty much priceless.
It is priceless, and for us, the give and receive, and you have that attitude of being grateful, and you heard the list of prescribed heroes that we have.
Yeah.
Those are the people we get to work with.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty
cool,
dynamic thing within our own businesses,
Yeah.
that we're getting to work every day with people who are so community driven.
Mm-hmm.
And the shift that I see within our own industry or our own office, I would say, would be that, you know, when you're giving up 30% of your income, because it comes from these agents' commission, you're giving
Right.
up that 30% income, and you see the shift of agents going, oh, I have to rebate this, to, guess what, I get to rebate
Yeah.
this. And that is a gratitude mentality, and I really believe that all of our agents have that.
Yeah, and it doesn't happen right away.
No.
Does it? Suddenly the sunlight shines down and bing, it's a moment.
Yeah, yeah. And I had that moment when Brandon and I started this program in 2014. I said, okay, well, I'm going to go through my business line here of things that I've got set up for close to make
Yeah.
sure those people get this rebate, because I want to be fair, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and I had about $9,000 of income that went away. And I kind of went,
Right.
but that year our business grew even though we were discounting. Because people who know that they're going to get a rebate is one thing, but they basically say, well, here's so-and-so's card,
Yeah.
and they're going to do a good job, and you get money back.
It's not about the money.
Nope.
At all, on both sides. I mean, it's nice to get that rebate check,
Yeah.
but it's also nice to deal with people. You know, you're dealing with people that their heart is in the right place.
Absolutely.
You know, pretty cool stuff.
It is. It's
It's like
great.
yesterday. Do you know Jeremy Salzman?
Yes. Yes.
Right, H&S Heating, right?
Yeah.
I hugged him when he left the studio yesterday, and he said, "Hey, wait a minute, you're doing it on the wrong side. You're supposed to hug left shoulder to left shoulder so your hearts are closer together."
Absolutely.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. No, my husband's a good hugger, and he always says your hug should be like a handshake.
Yeah.
And I believe that, and I think that in respect to everything that's happened the last few years, our human connection is really, really important, and we're always seeking that in our business and our daily activities.
Folks, there is such a difference, for gosh sakes. I hope you are hearing it right now. Taking you home with VoigtJohnson Real Estate. You can catch it every Thursday, every Saturday morning, Thursday at 7:23, Saturday at 7:50. And again, make sure you start that home search at VoigtJohnson.com. Heidi, what's the best way for people to reach out to you?
Well, we just love for them to give us a call, even directly at our office. It's 320-774. No, that's not it. Sorry.
This happened last time.
774 2400. Sorry.
Okay, one more time.
Reach us at our office at 320-774-2400 or VoigtJohnson.com.
All right, one more time, 320-774-2400 or VoigtJohnson.com.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
AM 1450, FM 99.3, KNSI, taking you home with VoigtJohnson Real Estate.